There are a lot of jump programs out there. And even just within THP, there's a lot of programs and training methods that we use, right? If you have watched our videos for any amount of time, we talk about accentuated eccentrics, maximal effort isometrics, training max strength, plyos, and we just combine them all into this pot soup of jump training. But we also talk about periodization and how you have to do different types of training at different times of year. But how do you know out of all these endless combinations of exercises and programs, how do you know what is the right one to do for you specifically? That's what we're going to get into today. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that we have a 40% sale going on at THPstrength.com. So if you want to set up at a fat discount, this is the last one that we're doing for the year. If you want to take advantage of that, head over to THPstrength.com. You'll get coached by me, John, Austin Burke. We just hired a doctor of physical therapy. Well, he's getting his DPT in May. And Philip, right? 5 coaches will answer all your questions whenever you want, give you a program. So you don't have to do what we're about to talk in this video yourself. We can do it for you. Having said that, let's get into it. John, how do we choose the right program?
I think we should start with a story of the first time that we were exposed to a jump program and how we picked. So, how did you decide what was the first program you were ever going to do?
Deflecting a question with a question. Oh,
I
you're
see that.
good. You're good. Let's see. The first program I was ever exposed to, it was okay. So I was probably around 14 years old. That was the age I decided I wanted to pursue this jumping higher thing. Specifically, I just wanted to dunk. I was a basketball player first and foremost. I didn't even know the world of professional dunking existed. And then I think I just Googled how to jump higher, and I found this program. I only had dumbbells in my house. We had a stack of dumbbells, Bowflex, that went up to 52.5 pounds. And before this, I had actually done P90X. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Of course.
Me and my dad, we would do P90X every
Muscle
day.
confusion, bro.
Yeah, muscle
You got
confusion.
to confuse the muscle. It has a
They
brain and you got to
actually
confuse it.
they actually had a plyo workout in
I
there
know
that
it's
was,
insane. It's like a bajillion contacts.
yeah, it was brutal. So I had done that when I was like 13, and then I Googled how to jump higher, and I found this, like, I don't even know if I'd be able to find it. Like, I'd have to spend a couple hours like deep diving in Google in the dark web. But it was this guy who had like a group of high school guys, and he just got everybody on his basketball team dunking. Well, that was what the marketing was for it. And I just copied like the exercises that I saw on the YouTube video. So it was like lunges and jump squats with the dumbbells and goblet squats and that type of thing. And then he had a certain amount of like sets and reps that you did. So that was my first exposure. I literally did that for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then shortly after that, I found starting strength, and that was 3 sets of 5 till the end of time. Squat, deadlift,
So why
power
did
clean.
you go with starting strength? Like, what was it that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna program hop like some of the individuals on our training?
Well, so I've always, like, I'm a Google king. Like, I just Google everything. I look up how to do things. Unfortunately, nobody ever led me down the route of research. Like, I think if somebody would have just told me, even around the time I met you, I didn't even do it that much. If somebody would have just told me at age 14, "Hey, there's this thing called Google Scholar, and it has everything you could ever want to know, and it's peer reviewed, so you don't have to wonder if it works or not." I think that could have drastically changed my
You know,
approach.
that probably exists for business.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I
Just had to
probably,
throw that in there.
yeah.
Business
Um,
research.
yeah, but starting strength, I came across because I loved bodybuilding, I loved powerlifting, I loved Olympic weightlifting. Um, and I just came across the book. I think I was really into like powerlifting. Like, I was like looking at how like powerlifters train, and then I probably just saw that book recommended somewhere on how to, like, specifically strength. Like, I very quickly connected the dots that getting stronger helps for jumping higher. So then I just went, all right, what's the thing that's going to get me the strongest? And then starting strength got recommended at some point in there. I was probably in some forum or something. And then I read the book, and it's very
Dogmatic.
Dogmatic, that's the
bias,
word I was looking for. Yeah,
this or no other way.
it's very yeah, like, when you read it, if you don't have a background of knowledge going into it, you're gonna it's gonna make you think that that is the best,
It
and that's
seems
the
like it's
only
like the book, like
yeah, it's like the
the strength
Bible. It's like
training.
it makes you think it's the Bible of training.
That you can't there's no questioning the great what's the guy that wrote it?
Mark Ripito.
Yeah, there's no questioning the great Ripito.
Yeah.
How dare you?
So, I did that program for a while, got stronger, and then that did that in conjunction with jumping every day. Um, and then from there, the next introduction was, uh, I read Vertical Jump Bible, didn't do the program. I literally just read it, and I think I've told you a story. I tried a depth jump, and my Achilles
Yeah,
instantly
I've heard that
flared
one
up.
before.
And then the only thing I did after that was, the jump program from He Who Must Not Be Named.
Exactly.
That was my
Voldemort.
next exposure, which worked for a bit, but then again, tendon pain, popped up, which is the one thing no book I ever read, no program I ever read about ever talked about was tendon pain and how to actually, like, manage it, and load
Until
management wasn't a thing. It wasn't a
until you
thing.
met
And then cut intro
me.
to John Evans.
Yeah. So, it really comes down to how do you know which one is the best one out of those? How do you even decipher? There's so much information, there's so much marketing, there's so much BS out there, and it's very difficult. And this is true of most things in the modern era. It's not hard to find information. It's hard to decipher what is good information, what is bad information. And it seems like as you've gotten older, you've gotten better at discerning what is good information and what is bad information. You've
Yep.
never been bad at finding information, but I wouldn't even say you were bad necessarily at discerning, but you've gotten better over the years. That's the biggest
Yeah.
difference. You've just improved and improved and improved on that skill.
I've
So,
specifically, I've gotten better at not drinking from marketing tea.
yeah. Yep. You don't fall prey to shiny object syndrome. You're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, is it though?
Which,
Like, is it that great?"
by the way, if you're a THP athlete and you program hop, I hate you. I don't like you.
When you leave and you come back and you
I
leave and you
that
go back,
we take it personally. I know it's not good for your mental health, and after all my Buddhist studies, I should separate myself from it, but
at least
I
you're
don't like you
honest.
guys. I honestly hate you guys. I just have to put it out there.
Yeah, you're the worst. But it's just because it's like especially when it's people that have stolen our work and you're getting the watered down version, then it's really
Oh,
bad.
don't tell me. Let's talk about the typical path
Oh,
of
yeah.
of a young
People
pro.
start our training,
Yeah,
then they decide they wanna do what we do for work, so
yeah.
they do our training more, then they one day
They
stop.
get good. They
They
get
get good,
good.
they get great, great even. They get way better, they get great even. Then they decide, "I can do this myself, fuck them," and they decide to post on their story, and then they start their own product, and then
Yeah.
they start talking badly about us even though we're the ones that helped them and that they're better and you should do their stuff, and then we get annoyed and pissed off.
Which motivates us, and then we
Which
make the
motivates
program even
us
better.
to and talk shit. Um, yeah, I mean, when it comes to coaching for me, it's like it is weirdly competitive for me because, like you're competitive about dunking, and I think now so more so to coaching, but like specifically coaching is for me highly, highly competitive. Like the X's and O's of it, it
Yeah.
is a game of knowledge and expertise and application. And for me, that is so fun, but it's also like hard to keep yourself emotionally removed
See,
from it. It also
that's
motivates me.
that's the thing. So I used to not be competitive about coaching at all. Like, I just saw it as like, all right, this is my job, and then dunking was my competitive. Now I'm like not really competitive about dunking at all. I think I'm competitive in a session. Like, if you put me in a session with somebody, I like to
You did shit
compete.
talk Donovan the other day. That was funny.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't take things personally. Like, I used to, like, feel
Like
attacked.
attach something to it.
Yeah, yeah. But with coaching, that has completely flip-flopped. Well, specifically with business, I feel like you're competitive with the coaching aspect of it, and then I'm competitive with the business aspect of it. And
Well, to
sometimes
me,
flip
it's
the
like
switch
one and the
when
same. It's like what like
yeah,
you should buy the better product.
yeah.
Period. Done. End of
No, but
conversation, right? Like if
yeah,
Tesla didn't have panel gaps, and it looked like a Lamborghini and it sounded better than a Lamborghini and it was cheaper and it was more reliable, you should go buy that.
Yeah.
Point blank, done, over, end of conversation. There's no
Yep.
brainer, right? Like the best product should be the thing that people buy. Like,
Yeah.
and obviously there's personal preference built in there, but when it comes to something like art or sorry, when it comes to similar things like art or cars or houses or architecture or music, like there's some objectivity there, but like at the end of the day, it's kind of just personal preference, right? Like
Yeah.
I just
And a
like
lot
the
of
way
that
this.
comes down, like, there might be like, we have competitors, there might be athletes that just like other people as people
No, I
better. There's
agree.
people that don't
Yes.
like us. A lot of people that
Oh
don't
yeah, people.
that don't like us.
What's funny is that when they spend time with us, I think then they're like, oh, they're just normal guys, and I like to spend like they're cool. But
Yeah,
if you don't spend time with us, I think maybe it'd be hard to like get that kind of feeling. Especially like if you have a very different personality than us and you think
yeah,
you wouldn't like us, then you're definitely not going to want to spend time with us. But I think after people like warm up to us and they understand the way that we are, yeah, we're like pretty likable guys.
yeah,
But I was saying too, like when it comes to training for me, it's always about who's the best, right? Like it's
yeah,
really just product driven. And it's really to me, who's going to give me the best results long term? Who's going to keep me the healthiest? Who's going to make me jump the highest? Who's using the best evidence? Who's demonstrating the best evidence across populations, different populations, not just elite athletes, but can you do it with newbies? Can you do it with beginners?
yeah,
Can you take a Nick Rossi, a 5'2" high jumper, and make him a speed jumper and get him over like 6'2" or 6'4"? Can you do that? That's very hard. Shout
yeah.
out Nick Rossi, the least
No,
athletic person I've ever met
I've said
who I
this
made athletic.
I've said this before, the only reason a don't if somebody is not in on our training, signed up for our training in the jump world space is because they're trying to make money off of jump training. That
Yeah,
is
I agree.
legit the only reason. Like,
Which
if you take that out, people they would be
yeah.
getting coached
So,
by
enough about, I mean, this is still relevant. How do you pick the best program, right? How do you know where
yeah.
to start? And
That's why I
I
let
think
it get off the rails a little bit because it is
it is still
uh,
relevant. Yeah, it is still 100% relevant because not 100%, it's like 99% relevant because I would recommend starting with us, like point blank,
yeah.
because we'll do that for you and you don't have to worry because we know the answer to that. But
So,
if you
let's
wanted
get
to
into
do it
the
yourself,
yeah.
this is what I would recommend is
Yep.
one, you need to do a needs analysis. So you need to figure out what is it that you're trying. There's a lot of questions that go into a needs analysis. A needs analysis is just saying, what do you need to improve and achieve your goal? And you need to look at your training age. So how long have you been training? What have you been doing? That's like one of the first things I do with any elite athlete is I look at their training history and I look at what have they done when they were in development? What have they done in the last 5 years? What have they done in the last 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, et cetera? And then I'm able to start to make decisions about what is and isn't appropriate. Like most of my new native, like, I don't want to say insane programs, just like novel programs come out of coaching a new athlete who has a very unique training history that I've never seen before. And then I'm exposed to what they've done because I take time to actually sit with it and analyze it appropriately. Sometimes it takes me hours and hours. Like on Saturday and Sunday, when I call Joe Delgado or I call Fabian Delrid and I have to write a new training that accommodates all of the things they've done in the past, along with what they want to achieve in the future and their current goals for the given month or day, I'll learn more in that period of time. And it takes me, again, like 4 or 5 hours than I will in, a week of studying or something like that or reading a book. Because a lot of the time I have the information that I need. It's just like where the rubber meets the road and you're kind of tasked with problem solving with a given needs analysis, that's where you really see, a coach shine. You really see them start to implement a lot of the knowledge base that they have in an appropriate way.
Yep.
And it takes a while to kind of organize things in your head to make sense of it and make it make sense, especially again when it's seemingly nonsensical and then you make it make sense with training information that you know and concepts you know. That's why I always preach concepts because like anyone can look at a program and be like, okay, cool, but you're just going to do it my way.
Yeah.
But to take someone else's work and then listen to what they're saying and make it work for both of you when it's something you've never seen before or a system you've never used before, and apply all the concepts appropriately, that's whenever a lot of magic happens. So, yeah, one is to do the needs analysis of you and what you're looking to do. So if I'm a 1 foot jumper, right, you have to look at the task and you say, what do I need to be good at this task? And you need to look at where you're at. And you need to see where are the gaps and how do I fill in those gaps appropriately, right? Like that would be a good place to start. So let's use like Hoop and Nate. Hoop and Nate's a great one, right? Hoop and Nate, what's his goal? He wants to be the best dunker in the world. Okay. So where is he at? Or what does it take to be the best dunker in the world? What is the needs analysis of that? You need to have insanely stiff tendons that are extensible, that you're able to stretch and get energy out of. You need to have insanely strong muscles, not only strong muscles, but they have to be able to recruit force very fast and get to very high tensions very quickly. You need to have amazing technique, both in dunking and approach jumping, like your approach, your block foot, your arm swing has to be synchronized perfectly. You need to have very, very stiff, stable chassis, i.e., core, and your back has to be very capable. And yeah, what are some other ones you could think of? That's like rate of force development has to be insane.
You
Your
have to
nervous
have
system has to be insane. What else can you
maintain
think
a
of?
level of health.
Yeah, maintain a level of health. Unlike Isaiah, he's sick right now, as per
Yeah.
usual. That is his baseline, is sick. And so from there, then what you say is, all right, well, where is he at now? Okay, he's whatever, 15, 16, he's a sophomore in school. He's starting to hit, kind of develop, go through puberty right now. He's getting a lot taller, starting to see changes in his bone structure, starting to see changes in his height, starting to see changes in his muscle mass. He's been training with us for 3 years or whatever, he knows how to do the training. He knows how to do ollies correctly. He knows how to squat correctly. He's got great mobility. He's got great endurance. So where is he lacking between those two areas, right? He's not very strong relative to his weight. He's actually pretty strong for his age and developmentally where he's at. But as he continues to develop, he has amazing technique. His biggest gap is in his training age related to dedicated dunk training. So he's pretty much done all of the benchmark things I would ask him to do prior to this.
You
He's
just keep
jumped every
going.
day. What's that?
Let's just keep going.
Exactly. He's on a great path, partially because we did the needs analysis when I first started working with him. Like
Yeah.
I checked the boxes of, do you know, like initially he didn't know anything. So it was like, okay, cool. Do you know how to squat? No. All right, let's teach you how to squat. Do you know how to do a lunge? No. All right, we got to make sure you know how to do a lunge. Can you do a pull up? Can you do a push up? Like we have to check all those boxes. His Oli technique was horrible when he first started. He started with like the bar. It took him probably like a year to get proficient with 50 kilos, which is like 115.
Yeah.
And then once he did that, we were able to start really adding weight and adding load. And then he started adapting and jumping higher. And I think he's in basketball season right now, but I think he's going to dunk in the next like couple months. Like it's
It's
right
honestly
there.
any day now.
Yeah, it's honestly any day. He's like his development is almost in line with Dom's. It's kind of crazy. Like I think
That's
Dom
who I
goes,
was literally just thinking about when you mentioned Hoop and Nate. Like I'm thinking like Hoop and Nate's basement is Dom. Like that's like assuming he stopped growing at he's what, like 5'6"?
yeah, I think he might now be a little taller,
Like that's
but
assuming he only grows like an inch or two more, and that's it. He could still be like Dom shattered my belief of what you need to be a pro dunker. Like
I know
Dom
I loved
can
it. I remember that when you saw him do that first behind the back in 2021 and you were
yeah,
just shocked. I was like, yes, Dom has now shifted
yeah,
Isaiah's mental paradigm.
yeah.
Like,
'Cause I always used to think to be a pro dunker, your reach needs to be at least 7'9". Like like
did you know I
man,
never
that
believed that? I was just like, jump higher. That was my
yeah,
logic.
yeah. And yeah, he has shifted that for sure. Like Dom is nasty. So now I see, and I used to be sad because Hoop and Nate, I was like, dang, he's so dedicated and stuff. I don't know if he's gonna be tall enough, but now it's like
It doesn't matter.
worst case
Tony, dude.
scenario,
Look at
he's
Tony,
has
dude.
potential to be one of the best.
Yeah, his technique is unbelievable. It's insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think with Dom was a similar one, right? Like Dom had a similar kind of case. These are guys that came to us in their infancy that had jumped every day and loved dunking. Like they were best case scenarios. And if you're not necessarily that, like let's say now you're a 22-year-old and you're very strong, you have the same goal. So we're looking at the end of the continuum, and you've never done a lick of jump training, and you're like, where do I start? And your knees are fucked. So one, you got to take care of your health first. That's the first thing you would do. So you would come to us and you would do a load management protocol. Sometimes we have guys go to the other program where they do a lot of stuff where people have gotten hurt, and there's now case studies and evidence that's building up against them, which is crazy. But you come to us, we'll get you appropriate, or you do a correct load management protocol, and then from there you would start to address that deficit that you have. That would be like the first thing I would recommend doing. We actually have a guy that Dylan Stone, shout out Dylan Stone. He touched 10.8. He deadlifts like 600 pounds. He can squat like 515. And in the chat, he was like, why am I doing this right now? Blah, 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 blah. I'm plenty strong. And I was like, well, let me look and see. And the reason why is because he's like, based on my needs, his own needs analysis, he's like, I don't need to get stronger. And that was a fair assessment. So I looked at it. We usually do like intakes, but a lot of the time, if guys don't have jump training experience, we'll still, it was a very advanced program, but it had, how do I say this? He has a bigger deficit that we have to address first, which comes back to the needs analysis. He's plenty strong. He doesn't have good technique. So we need to address that. And he has very stiff tendons because of all the jumping, but he has very low rate of force development. So now we've got to develop the rate of force development so he's able to use those tendons, and we need to develop his coordination so he's able to recruit them at the right time maximally, right? Like maybe on a isometric mid-thigh pull, he can generate a shit ton of force fast, but if you can't do it in a jump, it doesn't matter, right? Like there's a difference between doing it in an isolated environment and then doing it in the activity you want to develop, that is what coordination is, right? Like just because you can bench press or you can do an internal rotation at whatever, and you're in the 99.999 percentile of MLB pitchers, if you can't do that, let's say your RFD metrics, everything was indicating you should be throwing 150 miles an hour, but you can't throw a ball correctly, it doesn't matter. It's about doing it in the activity you're trying to develop. So yeah, that would be like a good example of that. So there's two different examples. If you're a kid right now and you're like Coop and Nate, I would recommend start jumping often and start learning how to squat, lunge, do a pull-up, and do a push-up. Just start there. If you start there, you're going to set yourself up for long-term athletic development. And we do that for all of our guys. We look at their age, we look at their developmental level, what they have access to, and then we put them on a long-term progression so that their peak is not 38, right? Like we want to slow cook them so their genetic potential is reached. If you reach it too quickly, your ceiling's lower. Long-term, forever. Isaiah actually almost did that by doing hyper specificity for like very intensely for a very extended period of time, right? Like that's dangerous. And we had to almost undo that and allow him to remove that ceiling. Like when you hit a plateau, Isaiah, I believe it's because your long-term athletic development was too quick. Like your development was too quick. We had to slow it down, do all this baseline work to build up your capacity to the point where you were healthy enough to then do all the other complex stuff. Like you said it the other day, you're like, I was so injured coming in with a 43-inch vertical, plateaued there. My knees are now healthier than they've ever been with a 50. That doesn't make sense. Like that shouldn't happen. So yeah, that's what we take a lot of pride in doing. And I would definitely recommend, if you guys don't have the money to afford training, definitely go watch our stuff. Like we put a ton of information out there for you guys. So yeah, I guess I did a lot of yapping here in the latter half, but Isaiah, any yaps that you have, anything that you would like to say or add?
One other thing is we do a needs analysis every month. So usually after you deload, you want to look back and ask yourself, all right, what worked, what didn't work, and then be very careful about not making a conclusion purely based off of those 4 weeks, because there might be residual effects of fatigue that you're still experiencing from 2 months before, 3 months before. But about every month, you want to look at your training and kind of analyze it, see where you're at. Do the needs analysis that John did basically before every cycle. And then if you're a THP athlete, what I would say is ask us, right? When you deload, after you do your deload dunk session, tell us how you feel. How you what like, are any injuries popped up? Did your vertical go up? Did your vertical go down? Are you still fatigued?
Are
That type of
you
thing. Nine,
weak? Do
nine
you
times
feel
out of
weak or do you
10,
feel strong?
9 times out of 10, the answer is keep carrying water and chopping wood. The needs analysis is kind of built into the progressions that we've built, but there are rare cases, for example, Dylan Stone, where he felt like he wasn't doing what he needed to be doing, but that's where the communication comes in. So talk to us, basically. Talk to us as much as you can.
Communication is key. Like
Yeah.
in my romantic relationship, sometimes less is more, but generally just saying what you need to say in a clear, concise way goes a very long way.
Yeah.
Anything
Alright.
else before you want to close off?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. Thanks for watching, folks. We appreciate it. Again, obviously, this was not like it sounds like it was a major like THP freaking like
It
uh
was a THP plug episode,
yeah
but
plug, but it obviously if you're interested in getting coaching, go to THPstrength.com. We love what we do, and we appreciate all you guys. Thank you for trusting us with your training. If you're currently on it, as Isaiah said, keep chopping wood, carrying water, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.
peace out.
Shout out Austin Burke, 275.